This is my first video about hidden gems in gaming.
Hidden gems, they're buried deep but not for long.
I feel like Shogun Showdown would have fallen in this category, but I'm going to put it in the playlist at the very least. So to start, I've stumbled upon this hidden gem of a game, but it only really works if you're really into the genre, which is mystery or puzzle solving, detective kind of gameplay. But also, you do have to look past the graphics, as I know some people can't play games that aren't ray traced with 8K graphics, with, being ultra and everything like that. You can play this game on ultra, but it's still gonna look like Minecraft. This is basically one of the best detective games that you could play that's really out there. Oh Chris, how about Oberdin, or LA Noire, or Disco Elysium, or Phoenix Wright, or Heavy Rain? No replayability, really messy, too linear, too RNG for me, too much reading, and replaying it feels like a chore and forced decisions. All of that is not a problem in this game. And writing this, I really didn't know where to start when it came to describing this game, so I'm just gonna throw a bunch of words at you, and hopefully some of these stick. Time progression like Dead Rising, fingerprint scanning, fighting mechanic, tracing calls, sabotage cameras, bribing characters, very interactive computer, a mechanic where you can get too cold and wet in the rain, a completely interactive evidence board that you fully take charge of. All of this being in an open world and procedurally generated, so no gameplay is ever the same. With a fully interactable world, like searching in places that you shouldn't be able to search, or talking to people that you feel like are completely irrelevant, and asking them all kinds of questions that, who knows, could eventually solve a crime. Anyway, luckily I've recorded my first gameplay before I even purchased the game. This is gameplay of me playing the demo, and I'm just going to take you through my first experience of going through the game, how it felt, and just give you my inner monologue, I guess you can say. So hope you enjoy, and let me know if you stick to the end.
It was another rainy, stormy night. That hour where the dark works for you, not against you. Where shadows cover movement better than any badge. Waking up in the middle of the night wasn't rare for me. It was a ritual. I reached for my flashlight like it was the only thing left in the world, just so I could turn on the lamp. I checked to see if I had enough time for a quick or a long one. Before anything else, I picked up the phone to do what any good citizen would do in the middle of the night. My random prank call. Dialed a random number. Should have been harmless fun. Except I accidentally called the police. Classic. Right before I can get my hands on some midnight breakfast, the phone rang. Static. Breathing. The kind of silence that feels louder than screams. Tried star 69, like they did in the 90s. But no dice. Blocked number. Of course it was. The ghosts in the city know how to cover their tracks. A message. It slid under my door like a whisper from the void. Find Craig Bernasoni? Mystery messages are a normal occurrence in my line of work, so I didn't even bother opening the door, chasing the wind. Used the yellow pages. Yeah, another 90s relic. And it was right there, staring back at me from the page like it's been waiting. Without any warning, the police showed up. Didn't feel like answering questions without my coffee breath. So I hid under my kitchen sink and hoped they wouldn't see me. Another tip I learned from detective school. The cold rain welcomed me like an old enemy. Apartment 302. Craig's place. The camera outside was already off. Suspicious. Too suspicious. My training kicked in. Check under the rug. Bingo. Oldest trick in the book. And somehow still effective. I opened the door and was greeted with a dead body. I found a big vent for a possible escape. Is this the universe's way to foreshadow the future for me? Or paranoia whispering in my ear? Usually, it's both. I locked the door before anything else. Again, another tip from detective school. I took the fingerprints off the dead body, and with my excellent skills, I was able to figure out the approximate time of death. Some careful snooping around, and I found the body was confirmed to be Craig's. I needed to act fast, as fingerprints do disappear, so I pulled out my trusty fingerprint detection tool and started scanning as much as I could. Taking a sample from Craig's body, I was able to determine his prints, scanning for prints that didn't belong to him. And after searching, I found another fingerprint, a clue. Someone else had been here. The trash gave up its secrets. A piece of paper with a single initial, B. I pinned it on my evidence board, alongside everything else that smelled like trouble. The only real trash is the trash that kills. The address book said Bianca. 1B in the whole book. Must be fate. Looks like the shark sandwich was my next destination. I added her number and address to my notes, but before I left, I robbed that safe. $5,000, justifying it by thinking I needed it for later, but most probably will just sell it to the nearest pawn shop. Tried star 69 again. Greeted with no voice. The killer was laughing at me, and I could hear it in the static. I hung up the phone and then the silent alarm. I knew my detective training would get me in trouble. That's why I didn't go by the book. The bad guys read the same textbooks. No time for regret. They'd frame me for Craig's murder if I didn't move fast. Truth doesn't matter when the badge already made up its mind. I remembered the vents. I turned off the lights and slid inside. In the distance, I can hear the police yelling to open the door. But looks like I was able to go right over their heads. I ended up in another apartment. Dark, quiet. It was 3 a.m., so I didn't turn on any lights. I picklocked my way out like a ghost. No trace, no noise. I remembered my role, an official detective. That meant paperwork. Tried the Porcupine Bar. Closed, of course.
Not open.
I walked through the city, cold, wet, full of people who didn't want to be helped. The homeless man said hell no when I asked for change. Can't blame him. Getting tired of the cold, I found myself in a 24/7 laundromat to cool off. I snagged a few hairpins to work like a new lockpick set, scouting the buildings next to the Porcupine, thinking maybe the vents were shared, and my instincts paid off. Found one and crawled right in, exploring the vents for some time, getting almost lost. Finally, finding a random exit, and I decided to try this one. Inside, some guy entered the room I was in. Luckily, the fool stared up at the vent instead of down at me. I slipped back into the shadows. Fell through another vent. Long drop. Too far to get up.
Oh no! Oh no!
I found a stool left behind by a lazy worker or a guardian angel. Used it to climb back. More vents, more crawling. The vents were a second home by now. Steel corridors echoing with the sound of wasted time. Another fall. Deeper this time.
Ouch.
Found a light switch. Well, at least it seemed like a good enough exit. Nothing gained. Happy to just leave back the familiar way I came. Not accomplishing anything besides just more waste and not solve a case. Even the rain felt warm after being buried alive in the steel ducts. Met a man. Tried to start a conversation. He acted like I was the threat. Would have told me his name for $50. I had 100. That math didn't sit right with me. After our little talk, it looked like he'd rather appear as disabled than talk to anyone else. Finally broke into the Porcupine Bar. Too paranoid to use my flashlight. I stood in the dark like the shadows of doubt. I felt like maybe this should be my plan B if I couldn't get anything else. Then I left, locking the door. I remembered about Bianca's number in my pocket. They called me Batman back at the station, but only because I'm blind like a bat and like to yell in the darkness. I called her at 4 a.m. like a sane person. She hung up. Thought I was a sales call. I called her once again, this time bribing her over the phone for some info. But she was too clever for that. I decided to fall on my old lead. The Shark Sandwich Bar. Knowing the streets, I got there in no time. This was a big lead. I couldn't screw it up. Told the clerk I was a health inspector. Needed access to the back. Now whether he believed me or not, he still required a guest pass, but only after I coughed up some money. And here I don't know who's the sucker in this deal, but all I know is I got access to the back rooms now. With some quick rules to follow, I started exploring since he only gave me 2 hours. I came across a locked door, but easily I found the code just laying around, almost like it wanted to be found. There was a room, with a computer and a camera pointed right at it. Big Brother's lazy cousin. I couldn't have any record of me, so I gave it the blackout it deserved. In the computer I found 3 users, all locked with passcodes. Searching the room for a while. Not as easy as to find the passcode to this room. At least I can find the employee details. I tried to use the birth year of the person, but they didn't make it that easy. Found an employee outside. Asked about Bianca. Schumacher Terrace, he said. Another lead. Little did I know, I was looking at this computer for over an hour now, and I was officially trespassing. Lost in the glow of the screen. But Big Brother is always watching. The security system started shooting at me, but it hit someone coming up from behind me instead. An attacker or just dumb luck? I didn't wait to find out. Schumacher Building,
Schumacher.
Bianca's supposed home. She lives on the 8th floor. 8 floors, no elevator. I was chasing justice and cardio, one step at a time, one floor closer to the truth. Or a trap. By floor 8, I was out of breath and out of metaphors. I came to the door, knocking, expecting them to answer like I'm their wake-up call. Of course, the person answering the door looked nothing like a Bianca. He had some kind of face that told lies before his mouth even opened. When I showed a picture of Bianca, he said he knows someone with that name. Said he saw her on the 3rd floor, where Craig used to live. I had more questions, but he closed the door right on my face. I couldn't do more with that camera looking right at this door. I was going to sabotage that camera. So just as I'm about to use the stool for a leg up, I see the same man leave his apartment. Standing there in the empty hallway, he walked right by me. As the mystery man went downstairs, I thought, do I break into the lair's den or follow the man I couldn't name? As I was about to chase the logical answer, I had to trust my gut on this one. This cam was tough, but I still did it like second nature. Breaking and entering became a normal thing for me. At this point, locks and cameras were just formalities. Security lasers? Real professional. Ransacked the files, found Bianca's birth certificate, proof I was in the right place. As I try to match fingerprints, someone comes through the door, walking in my direction.
Oh shit.
She didn't seem to see me. I pulled out my 2 favorite guns, ready to defend myself. They weren't gonna roll the red carpet for me, so I loaded my own kind of invitation. Laughed at her mangled body. She wasn't dead, just unconscious. Checked her wallet, and bingo, Bianca. The ghost I'd been chasing finally had a face, and a bruised one at that. Took her cash, payment for hurting my knuckles. Pain isn't free in this line of work. Had her name, picture ID, address, no weapon, no handcuffs, but sometimes you don't need all the puzzle pieces. Let the court sort it out. Filling out the report like it was the last page of the book, and I was running out of ink and time. Rushed to the station with barely 10 minutes left. Barely made it.
Let's go.
Filed the report.
I should have put her in handcuffs too. Fuck.
Case closed. Social credit score went up. Still don't know what that meant. Didn't care. All I wanted was quiet. Came home to relax and maybe get some shut-eye. But instead, I was greeted with police tape and no furniture. Maybe I didn't play by the book. Maybe someone didn't like that I played at all. I just knew I had to leave. This was no time to be scared of heights. Times like these I wish I knew parkour. But I jumped down hurting my knees, but at least I got out of there.
Oof.
In my last moments of freedom, I handcuffed a random guy on the street, just to test him out. His friend didn't like that, started a fight.
Want a piece of me?
And just when I was about to show him what I was made out of, time ran out.
Oh, yeah. It will. It will. I basically promise you that.
So hopefully you enjoyed my little adventure there. So after obviously purchasing the game, I did do the first level, and then after a while, I had to like stop and I forgot what I was doing. So since it was the very beginning-ish, I decided to just kind of redo it and start from scratch. And when I loaded up the game, it was a whole different thing. The characters were different. The name that I was looking for was different. The layout of the apartment, the layout of the city, and everything like that. Every time you play this game, you're going to have a completely different experience, which I think is absolutely great. I know it might be more common in this day and age with roguelikes and everything, but for this game being what it is and how different it can be, I find that very exciting to kind of keep playing and diving into the world. Anyway, at the end of the day, obviously I wholeheartedly recommend the game. It's still on sale right now if I can get this video before July 11th. So if you enjoyed that, please let me know in the comments. I could, make more of these. Also, I could make this even a series because I enjoyed this game so much, and making the voiceover and stuff was also a lot of fun. So yeah, Again, thanks for watching, and have yourself a good whatever, morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever it may be. When can I get a good closer?